7th. It is Saturday the 27th, and hopefully we've got good audio so we can get a start on time today. Let's see what we've got. Get this to load in on the trusty iPad. That's how I monitor these broadcasts, is on the iPad. And there it is. We're good. Wow, the audio is okay. And so we're going to have an on-time start. Actually, about 30 seconds, a little more than 30 seconds early, Eduardo's in the house, and he says, "Who's all here?" And Eduardo, I sent him information about the Bitcoin wallet, so hopefully he can get that set up. You're going to want to get the wallet that has that same icon as the one in the upper left-hand corner of that screenshot that I showed you, Eduardo. Get that to app on your I'm assuming you have an iPhone. I'm hoping you have an iPhone. I'm guessing it might be available for Android too. Android can be a bag of hurt though. Lance is in the house, and he says hello. Carlos is in the house. Triforce Rich is in the house. Just finished up shaving with Timeless, getting more used to it, and it was a fantastic shave. Fantastic way to go, Triforce. I just shaved with mine as well. And let's see, and everybody's hanging around, and Zeus is in the house. Did Craig get rid of the GS Snowflake? Yes, I sold it a while ago. It was too big. It was 41 mils and a little bit on the thick side to use as an all-arounder. Perfect example, this Kenneth Gordon shirt I have on right now has a fairly tight cuff, and it would not go underneath this cuff. This stunner that I have on now will, but the Snowflake would have been too big. So for my use case, just didn't work out. Other people, it works out fine. Plus I have the 231 for when I want to wear something that's legible, that's super legible in all lighting situations. And then I've got the 005 stunner there next to it that is semi-readable in all lighting situations, and thinner, considerably thinner than the Snowflake was, and smaller at 38.5 mils, and the Snowflake was 41 mils. So, and of course my 002 stunner here is 38.5 mils, which I think is a better size for an all-arounder. I really do. I think 41 is pushing it. 41 is up in sport watch territory as far as I'm concerned. Carlos is in the house. I am happy that you have managed to not kill yourself so far with the razor. I hear you. Adam's hanging out. And Triforce says, Carlos, I can't kill myself yet. I haven't gotten an 002 yet and experience what it means to be truly alive. I hear you, Triforce Rich. I tell you, I am kind of surprised that no one has made a move on the other 002. Because it is a stunner. But the thing is, they really have to see it in person, and that's tricky unless you go to Little Treasury, because they're very hard to find. You're not going to find them at any typical Grand Seiko AD. I can tell you right now, they're not going to have the 002 in stock. So that's a problem. Fellas in the house. Let's see. How's the second wave of the thing where you are? Are you guys having a second lockdown? You know, it's interesting. I heard some interesting information today about that thing. And there's some speculation that the reason that it's spreading a lot in places like Florida and Arizona right now is because it's gotten hot there, and now everybody's inside in the air conditioning, and it spreads easier indoors. And so that's interesting. And now up in areas like New York and, you know, Pennsylvania and Maryland, all people are outside more. So it's not going to spread as much because we're not inside in the air conditioning like we were in the wintertime. And when you're inside with the heat running in the wintertime, right, you're cooped up inside. And that's how it spreads much better when you're inside for long periods of time. So that was, I thought, an interesting take on things. So there you go. Now, the good news is most of the people that are getting it in Florida are young folks, and they're getting over it fine. So there's no real issue there. So far they're holding up pretty good down there. Even though a lot more people are getting it, they're getting over it without without succumbing. So that's a good thing. Let's see. And on the bad advice, the bad watch advice, there was another thread in one of the forums. I believe it was a forum about in-house movements, I think. A group, not a forum, a group on Facebook. And there was this guy that said that he had some money and he was thinking about buying a Yachtmaster. But then he decided at the end of he actually went to the AD and everything, had the money and all, but he backed out and he decided to take the money and put it on his mortgage, to pay down his mortgage with it. Not pay it off, but pay his mortgage down further. And he was asking in the forum if that was a good move. And most of the people, I will give credit, most of the people said absolutely better to pay down your mortgage than to buy a watch. That was surprising to me. Most of the people said that. One guy chimes in and says, well, no, the watch is a good investment. You can make a 5% return per year on the watch. So buy that and make your 5%. I said, what? And then he shared a website that said that, basically you can make 5% on your watches. And I said, yeah, good luck with all of that. Good luck with that whole deal working out. So that's going to come under the the category of bad watch advice. Somebody's starting to like the Aquaterra. I'm tempted to call Steve and offer him not a cent more than you paid for the 002 or no deal. The thing is nearly impossible to sell. Try for Switch. Hey, trust me, once you get an 002, you ain't going to want to sell it. This sucker is never going to be sold. This thing is this is the end of the hunt, boss. This is the top of Everest. You don't get, rarely in life do you get to buy the best of the best, right? But with the 002, that's where you are. You're at the best of the best. You can't get any better than that. And Zeus is asking, how much did you pay for the 002 out of curiosity? I'm not going to share that information just because I think it's bad form. I did get a pretty good deal from Steve. It was a cash deal, literally straight up cash money. So I think if you make a reasonable offer, I don't think you're going to get more than 20 or 25% off, but somewhere in that ballpark, you might go home with the watch. That would be my advice. And I'll tell you what, you go home with the 002, you will be like over the moon. You will be over the moon. I'm telling you, you will love the piece. Carlos says, no sense to speak about what Craig paid. For sure, he is a very special case. Carlos is a very smart guy, too. And Eduardo's in the house. Hey, Craig, do remember that my OP date came with a stainless steel bracelet? Well, I've found a twin, the exact watch and story. Check your email. Okay. I'll tell you what, Eduardo, he's like... he's a watch detective. He finds some really cool stuff. Now here's something from Lance. I don't see Eduardo's yet. I'll pull up Lance's first, and then maybe Eduardo's will come in. Let's see what Lance sent. Oh, jeez. Lance. Please, Lance. Back away from the keyboard. Back away from the keyboard, Lance. Let's see what Eduardo sent. It's not here, Eduardo. I'm not seeing it yet. I'm not seeing your email. Maybe you're going to need to resend that. I'm not seeing it. Was it a big attachment? Why it would not have come through by now. Let's see here. Well, Craig, sell the 231. Life is too short to have such an inferior class. May I recommend a Doak set Triforce Riches in the house? I'll tell you what, the clasp on the 231 works great. Okay, I got the email. There's the photos from Eduardo. Okay. By the way, did you come stock with stainless steel, or is that a replacement? But looking to add it. The stainless steel one will also sold with the watch for more. So it came stock with stainless steel. Yes, not very common. Okay, very interesting. Maidi said back in the day there were options. Was you could. Well, they might have cobbled that together for him. I doubt that it was a normal Rolex thing to do a steel and gold with an all steel bracelet. I would doubt that. I've never seen it. I never saw that back in the day. Usually steel and gold was steel and gold. Now the AD might have bought the bracelet separate and sold it to them that way. I would not doubt that 1 minute. Let's see here. Craig, do you agree that if a watch holds its value, you can put more money into the hobby? If so, wouldn't it be wiser to do so given you can spend more? Fella. I don't think it's wise to buy watches with regard to the value of the watch. I think it's better to buy the watch for the purpose that you're going to buy it for and use it for that purpose. I think if you're thinking about it holding value and things like that, I think that's the wrong way to approach a piece of equipment, jewelry, you know, your gear, things like that. Any of the equipment, the gear I buy, clothing I buy, whatever, I buy it for a purpose. I don't even put a second thought into will it hold its value, because that's not what I'm buying it for. I'm not in the business of buying and selling things. If I was in the business of buying and selling watches, absolutely, that would be a concern, right? Because I'm in the business of buying and selling watches, but I'm not in that business. I buy a watch to wear and use for a purpose, and not, and so that is not something that I consider. But obviously, everybody's going to have different approaches to things. But that's certainly not something that I would consider. Mr. Q is in the house. Mr. Q, let's see here. Eduardo, out of curiosity, how safe was Brett on that transaction? How safe was Brett on that transaction? I don't know. I'm not sure what you mean by that. What email do you email Craig at? It's my name, CraigShipp@gmail.com. CraigShipp, 2 P's, CraigShipp@gmail.com. That's how you email me. Triforce Rich is in the house. Craig, I'm sure sandpaper would clean your butt pretty well, but you would use it 231. Yeah, here's the thing, Triforce. I mean, I don't know if you've owned a 231 or not. But if you owned a 231 and wore it and used it for a period of time, you would be just like me. You'd be saying, oh my gosh, this clasp is fantastic. Every time you use it, you'd be saying, wow, this is just a joy to use. That's what it is. It's great for a watch that you actually wear often, wear every day, for example. It's not a good clasp for a box watch. Definitely not a good clasp for a box watch. I want to send him a watch pic on my wrist. Okay, good. Carlos, I believe he was pretty safe. The dealer had many references. Eduardo in the house. Yachtmaster 40 rhodium dial versus two-tone Submariner black dial. Any advice, please? I would go for the Yachtmaster every time. I love the case on that, the case shape on that Yachtmaster. I would go for that every time over a modern sub with the super case. I'm not a super case fan. Let's see. If you like flipping through watches often and you only give yourself a set amount of money to spend on watches per year, then sure, price tag retention is important. Cheetown in the house. Absolutely. Eduardo's in the house. Craig, but the watch was also bought by Coca-Cola for 25 years employee. It was bought in the same year as mine, 1991. It may have been a special order for Coca-Cola employees only. It's possible. Absolutely, it's possible that some deal was worked out like that. I would not be surprised. It is possible. Unfortunately, Rolex doesn't release those kinds of records very often, so people trying to do research on things like that usually hit a dead end as far as getting any kind of confirmation from Rolex, at least from what I've been led to believe. Carlos is in the house. I am too a tire kicker for that money. I think I would go to the place to do a transaction in person. Okay, let's pull up photos here. Let's pull up photos. Do a time check while I do this. Time check. Official time check. That is looking good. Looking absolutely fantastic. Looking good. Talk about a great all-arounder. Talk about a great all-arounder. A Datejust. A steel and gold Datejust. Why not? Why not, I say. Let's see. Mr. Q. Stopped this morning at Rolex Boutique in Orlando. They were well stocked with stainless steel Oyster Perpetual and Datejust. First time I see such availability in the last 2 years. There you go, but probably no sport watches, right? Lance is in the house. Craig, what's your opinion of the Rolex Sea Dweller? My cousin had one years ago, one of the original ones, and it was pretty cool. I like the older ones like that, but I would go with a pre-ceramic sub. If I was looking for a Rolex dive watch, I'd go for a pre-ceramic sub. I would probably not do the Sea Dweller. Because I don't mind having the either just a sub or a Submariner date with the Cyclops. I don't mind the Cyclops on a Submariner date, but I would just as soon have just a straight up Submariner without the date. Would probably be the way I would go. Triforce Riches in the house. Mr. Q, last AD I visited was stocked up for Rolex. They had a Milgauss, an Explorer, Yachtmaster, plenty of PM sports models. What's a PM sports model? I'm not hip. 41 millimeter Datejusts. Made me ask about the deep sea, and now I'm waiting for one. Triforce Rich. Craig, does the 003, the steel model of the 002, have the same white face? It's a little bit different, Kevin. It's a little bit different. So this is the Snowflake case, and it's a little bit, see if I can get that in focus. It's a little bit different. It's still a nice style on the 003, but not quite exactly the same. Adam's in the house. Is everyone excited about the new Tudor Black Bay 58 with a blue dial? Yeah, I would pass on that. My AD called me for a new Submariner date at retail last week on my birthday. I declined. Want a full gold piece for my next one. There you go. I don't blame you. I don't blame you one bit. Triforce Rich is in the house. Lance, take it from someone with personal experience. The new Sea Dweller 43 is one of the best watches Rolex has made. People who haven't worn it complain. Okay. Eduardo's in the house. I may have hit my dead end, but this is pretty solid evidence, and both watches were for sale in Canada, so maybe it was Coca-Cola Canada only. Who knows? Maybe you can contact somebody that's been with Coca-Cola Canada for a long time and see if they remember anything. The Eduardo, the detective, the watch detective. David's in the house. He says, Mr. Q, same as Bellagio 2 weeks ago. By the way, to torment those who say my shirts are too baggy, I wore one of my baggy shirts. This is a Kenneth Gordon shirt, of course, made in the United States of America, and very comfortable. So just to torment those folks, I figured I would do that. Let's see. Triforce Rich, Zeus. They still sell for an easy premium. I'd have bought it and made a quick 1,000. I don't know how easy it is to sell them now, though. I think those watches are moving a little bit slow. He may have ended up stuck with that watch. So maybe not. Triforce Rich. Maybe not. Sales are slowing down on the Rolex steel sports models. They're getting harder to sell. Eduardo says the Datejust is stunning. I need to I need a complete two-tone Datejust, or I'll hold out for a solid gold piece. I don't blame you, Eduardo. That's true, but I didn't want to deal with the mess on taxes at Triforce Rich. Yeah, because here's the thing. When you buy and sell a watch like that, you need to figure all your costs. You need to figure, if you do pay the taxes, you got to obviously get that back also. There might be a fee associated with selling it, depending on what service you use to sell it. I mean, it might end up where it's not real easy to make a lick on that puppy. Adam's in the house. I meant new Tudor Black Bay 50 blue dial. Okay. Triforce Mr. Q, same here. Pre-COVID, there would be like 3 watches in that Rolex case, and all two-tone or full PM. COVID has changed the game, despite what the AD wants you to believe. And G-Town says, you want accuracy, Craig? My $10 Casio F91W is running 2 seconds ahead of time since March 8. Good move. There you go. Absolutely. Lance is in the house. Did you get used to the larger size at Triforce Search? Okay. Lance, someone let me borrow it for a while. Yes, you totally get used to the size, but it's never going to be as comfortable as a smaller watch, but totally livable. Yeah, I don't want my watches to be, quote, livable. I want them to be comfortable on wrist. If I'm going to wear them on wrist, I want them to be as comfortable as possible. Mr. Q's in the house. A definite difference of stock. Let's see. Plus, I didn't want to be a flipper with my ID there. Fair. Do first come, first serve for anything. Okay. PM equals precious. Oh, precious metal. Okay, now I'm hip. That's what we want, is precious metal. Absolutely. I mean, the show yesterday couldn't have demonstrated that more with that stunning solid gold Datejust. That's a stunner. And let me say, I mean, everybody was saying that it was a good buy. Just because other people are selling them for like $24,000 or whatever, obviously those other ones might not be sold, right? And it took a while for him to sell the one at $16,000. So I think that it's a great watch, and I think that I would love to have it, and I think that the price he paid was fair, but I mean, it certainly wasn't a steal. I wouldn't be buying it at that price to resell it. I certainly wouldn't, because obviously the seller, it took him a while to sell it at that price, right? So it was a retail deal, and on a stunning watch. So Brett got a stunning watch to wear and use that he can literally wear and use the rest of his life. And he's a young guy, so that's a long time, right? So I think it's cool. And he's a mover and shaker. He's making money. He's making things happen. He's doing deals, and that's a deal maker watch. So I think that's cool. Let's see. Is your O2 a limited edition? No, it is not, Kevin. It is a regular production watch, but they don't produce very many of them. So it's a low production watch, but it's not numbered. It doesn't say like 05 of 500 or something. It's not limited to a certain number over a certain period of time. They're making it every year. So like, for example, I think it came out did it come out in 2018? It is an anniversary watch to celebrate X number of years of the spring drive or whatever. It's, but when they came out with it, they didn't say, okay, we're just going to make it for 1 year, or we're going to make it like 500 pieces. They didn't do anything like that. They just said, here's a unit that we're coming out with to celebrate this milestone, and we're going to make them, and you're going to buy them, and that's it. But I will say that they're scarce as hen's teeth. There are very few of them around. So there you go. It's limited in that respect, but it's not, they might make the watch for 20 years, just like the Datejust. The Rolex keeps making the Datejust, right? They might keep making the 002 indefinitely, which I like, actually. I'm not a big fan of all the limited edition stuff. I don't think I would have bought it if it was a limited edition. I much prefer a watch that's in regular production. More likely there's going to be parts and service available for it down the road and all that sort of thing than if it was a very limited production piece. I just, that's okay with me. Let's see. That's a beautiful watch, and it's my favorite Submariner. Okay. Adam, I wonder if the whole Black Bay 58 obsession is just a passing craze. I would hope so. Triforce Rich says, Craig, you keep saying you don't know how easy they are to sell, but I have proven you 3 times that I can sell a Rolex within 24 hours and make money. How much proof do you need? LOL. Well, maybe you're good at it, Triforce Rich, but that's not the average person. That's not what most people, the experience they have. So I'm trying to give advice for most people. I'm not trying to give outlier situations. Obviously, if you get a really good buy on something and you know what you're doing, you're good at it, then you can resell it and make a profit. I mean, I did that years ago with some watches, and I did it a lot with cars, with automobiles. But you got to know what you're doing. It's not for the average Joe, I don't think. So there you go. That would be my advice. Durr's in the house. He says Black Bay 58 is a girlfriend watch for a girlfriend that you want to break up with you. Triforce Rich says, I have to admit, though, that I am part of special buyer-seller groups, so it makes it very easy for me. Groups are 100% private. Triforce Rich, also you know what you're doing, and there's that's a skill set. So there you go. My favorite two, I have a 2007 model. Okay, no rehaul, no holes. Okay. Sent a photo of a Bazaar GS9F. Okay, that's all we need. Let's look at a Bazaar 9F, and then I want to show you another thing. We talked about the hangman's noose the other day. I'm going to show you another thing. Just give me a moment here to pull this photo up. Another Bazaar GS. You know, I don't like the way these crown guards are, the way they're squared off that much. Those are kind of, they look funky. And also the case looks a little funky. It looks almost supercacious, where it's got a big shoulder here on the lug. So yeah, that one's a little bit on the fugly side, a little bit fugly. Okay, so there we go. Let's see what else we got here. Adam, I cannot feel anything for those. I like P01. That's okay. Triforce Rich, what, Tim says, what platform do you use to sell the watch? Hey, it's secret. Honest ADs are getting rarer and rarer, says Triforce Rich. Eduardo's in the house. Lance, get a Datejust that you can wear in any situation. I'm going to wear my Datejust 1601 to a party in about 30 minutes. Go party time. Durr's in the house. I hope Durr's wearing his Date 8, for gosh sakes. P01 may be a collectible in the future because it's so ugly. Let's see. Trevor Rich says, Tim McDonald, Facebook, but it's not a public group or a group anyone would know about unless you're connected. It is meant to stay that way to preserve the integrity. Triforce Rich, it's a double secret group. Eduardo's in the house. I can't choose between a used Datejust or an Oyster Petrol 36. You're thinking about a new Oyster Petrol 36? And Durr says stay away from the Oyster Petrol 36. There you go. I would go Datejust. I think I would go Datejust. Limited edition to me is a scam. True rarity happens naturally, not artificially occurring. And it shows too. Collector pieces that are rare by nature rather than artificially tend to be more hunted. There we go. Okay. Triforce Rich is in the house. I highly recommend you buy a new watch and can live with it for life. If it was my choice, I'd get an Explorer 39 mil. Forget about the size. It's fine for you. You'll be a man soon. There you go. Triforce Rich giving some advice. Lance is in the house. I like the Datejust, but I don't want to get a really old one that needs to be serviced. I would rather save up and get a lightly used Oyster Petrol 36. Yeah, but for just a little more, you can probably get a Datejust. Okay, so here's a piece that I have near my bed, okay? And notice I've got a lanyard on here that has hangman's noose on it. Maybe I'm not supposed to do that, huh? What do you think? This is a cool piece, by the way. You guys should always have one of these handy. This is, talk about solid. This thing is no joke. This is a through night, and this is the Catapult V5. Let me show you what model this is. Okay. And this thing, let me tell you something. First of all, it's got nice knurling on the handle, right? And it's got a nice lip here at the end, so like when you hold it with your hand doesn't slip off it, right? And then, of course, you could put, this is a paracord 550 lanyard. You could put it like this, and you could literally swing the whole thing, because this lanyard's very strong, right? You could literally swing the whole thing. I mean, you could really do a number on an intruder with this puppy. And then it's got this glass breaking feature here on the end. And then the piece de resistance is, look away if you've got like epilepsy or something, right? But look, it's got the flash, right? And it's really, really bright. If I go like this, right, it'll stay on. And then you can do just, there's got two buttons. It's got one just to turn it on and one for the strobe, right, to blind them, temporarily blind them. So it's really a simple interface, just has literally two buttons, one to turn it on full blast and one to, to hit them with the strobe. So there you go, folks. Keep one of those handy just in case. Just in case they get past all the other security, right? And I've got a couple of other things handy that are even a little more of a deterrent. So there you go. Lance, get a good condition watch. A service will last 5 to 7 years, so it's not constant thing, but Datejust is more recognizable. There you go. Black Bay 58 is a fad to me. Keep in mind they're putting Fox patina to keep the watch looking old. However, that is the best the watch will look. When it actually ages, it might turn into something ugly. Well, yeah, I would pass on it, period. Triforce Rich, okay, I can respect that, Craig. You're actually right. Most people don't have a clue and will get fleeced. You have to know what you're doing. It's just like the stock market, right? The money flows from the people who don't know what they're doing to the people who do know what they're doing. Eduardo's in the house. Carlos, it's only a house party, so I should be okay. I'm more worried about myself. Craig, you're right. Most people, even large collection owners like Rich Buddy, think it's easy to sell, and they look at chrono prices. They're in for a shock. There you go. I prefer yoga parties for obvious reasons. Yoga or toga? The thing saved Steve's new house. What does that mean? I'm not sure if I understand that. How did the virus save his new house? Do a time check here real quick. I really want a 36. It's the classic size. I don't blame you, Lance, for wanting the 36 mil Datejust. That's exactly what I would get. It's exactly what I would recommend. Traverse Rich, Chrono 25 equals a last resort guide on prices. Even the lowest price on Chrono 24 is a ripoff usually. 36 mil Explorer is fine as well. I highly recommend saving up for it over an old used Datejust. I would get a 6-digit Datejust is what I would do with the Jubilee, with the solid Jubilee bracelet, one like Carlos has. I would get a 6-digit Datejust with the solid Jubilee bracelet and the white gold fluted bezel and call it a day. That's a lifetime watch for Lance. He's got money. He can buy the real thing. Dur's in the house. Lance, stay away from the Noise Perpetual 36. Get yourself a Datejust, and if it's an old one, don't worry about servicing it. If you buy it from a place like Bob's Watches, it will come with a warranty. There you go. Mr. Q says, I don't like the word Seiko twice on the dial. I agree. I like the new dials, the 2017 and newer dial on the Grand Seiko, absolutely. So it only has Grand Seiko on there. Adam, with the financial crisis coming, do people worry about an increased number of watch muggings? Do we have to keep our luxury watches at home now for safety? Adam in the house. Well, here's the thing about all that. And we talked about this a little bit the other day. It has been the last several decades, it has been the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer. The gap between the haves and the have-nots is increasing. And this is only going to be more so with everything that's going on now. The poor are really going to be walloped by this, everything that's going on. All the government shutdowns and everything that's going on is going to really have the most effect on the poor. So yes, you're going to have to be very careful about crime, especially with them disbanding a lot of the police and cutting back budgets on police and so on and so forth. It's going to get really, really nasty, especially in the marginal areas. In the wealthy areas, like here we have private security and everything here. They can't get anywhere near us, right? I'm fine. But people that don't live in areas that are heavily protected are going to have to think about security. Absolutely. I think it's going to be a problem going forward. So, I don't go anywhere out in the real world, if you will, without security. Period. I mean, I just don't do it. So whenever I go somewhere, it's somewhere that's secure and safe. Like, for example, when I went to Steve's party, I had several members of the wrench gang there taking care of security. So we were fine. And Steve had special security as well. So, I think it's going to be a problem going forward. And if people don't take that seriously, they could have some real problems on their hands. So there you go. That's why gated communities are going to be more and more popular with private security. It's no joke, folks. No joke. Craig, what sort of time did your Invicta Pro divers keep? Mine is running 1 to 2 seconds fast per day. I don't remember. I believe I had the 9937 for a while. The other one I sold pretty quickly, but it wasn't bad from what I remember. I think it did run fast, and I don't think it was terrible, but I didn't really wear it that much, so it's hard to say. Kyle is in the house. Let's see. Why not the OP? Do they have reliability problems? No. The Oyster Perpetual is fine. I think that most people are just saying that the Datejust would probably be a better move. No, the Oyster Perpetual is a fine piece. I think they're being too hard on the Oyster Perpetual. Let's see here. Kyle's in the house. He says, "Hey guys, late in here today." Well, hey, you're here. That's the important thing. And how's Brett's watch doing? Do you have a report on the accuracy of that puppy yet? And Lance is in the house. I hope it's running fast. That's all. I mean, I don't care really how accurate it is. I hope it's running fast as opposed to slow, because that's a good indicator that it's still in real good shape. Cheetown, because usually from the factory they're running a little fast, and then as they get older and older and older, they run slower and slower. So there you go. Zombie Buserve wristwatch insured by Smith & Wesson. OP are not the best option chick-wise. Oh, it's not going to help him get chicks? Oh, come on, Carlos. I think Lance is going to be beating the chicks off with a broom. I think they're going to be all over him. Let's see. Kevin's in the house. Are there many 18 karat gold green face Datejust for sale? Hard to find. I don't see many. I think it's safe to say those are not easy to find. Let's see. Carlos says, I have seen a noose. Dur's in the house. The OP36 is a dog, Lance. If you buy that, I guarantee you're going to want to sell it within a few years, and it's going to be impossible to sell for anywhere near what you paid for it. No one wants an Oyster Petrol 36. Well, there you go. Durr says, Craig, is that a lightsaber from Star Wars? I'm finally getting caught up on the... I'm way behind on the comments here, I guess. An Explorer 39 is a winner. It'll appeal to you as a classic. Women will respect that versatile design, and men will not think you're too showy, but still respect the class you're rocking. I think he has to try it on and see how it feels on wrist, and if it really feels like a good size for him, there's no problem with going with the Explorer 39. But I too prefer the 36 mil size personally. This Oyster Petrol 36 is the watch that someone who wants to get some skin in the game, but quickly once the bad shock wears off, they flip it for the Rolex they really want. Okay. Cheat Down Craig. So if I'm right, if someone wanted a Datejust with an Oyster bracelet and smooth bezel, then you would recommend they get an Oyster Petrol instead. I mean, the Datejust with the smooth bezel and the Oyster bracelet is okay. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a cool watch. I mean, it's just not what I would pick. Especially if I was buying new, I would absolutely get the Jubilee bracelet, and I would absolutely get the white gold fluted bezel. You got the complete package then. You got something that you can wear in any circumstance. You can wear it dressy. You can wear it dressing it down. It's just extremely versatile. And it's a gorgeous watch, and the women do love them. The women do love the Jubilee bracelet. Women will want to be you. Men will want to sleep with you when you wear an Oyster Petrol 39. Carlos says, Lance, I'm joking. To me, Oyster Petrol is fine if you love it. There you go. Oops, I mean Oyster Petrol 36 mil. Cheatown says, at Lance, go for an Oyster Petrol 39 instead of Oyster Petrol 36. It's a watch you will grow with better. Okay, Carlos in the house. Man, I can't keep up with these comments. I want to get a white dial. I'm also not a fan of the 3, 6, and 9 on the Explorer dial. I hear you. I hear you on that. Eduardo's in the house. All right, guys, signed off. Going to go have a couple of drinks and do some more investigating. Absolutely. Eduardo's going out in the field. Cheatown, then save for the 30 Oyster Petrol 39 white dial. My friend just got one and it's gorgeous. There you go. Ziz says YouTube is blocking ad revenue for COVID, so be careful to mention it or the virus. I hear you, but I don't make diddly squat on these videos anyway, so it's okay. Yeah, you can get a black Datejust with a smooth bezel and Oyster bracelet. Better looking than Explorer dial. I agree with Lance on the 369. There you go. Eduardo says, best of success. The clues lie at the bottom of those drink glasses. Yeah, that's right. Tri-First Rich says, if you get a Datejust, get Carlos's with the roulette date wheel. That watch is all. Absolutely. He should buy Carlos's is what he should do. That's what he should do. Carlos is in the house. I meant it would not be by the thing. I would visited Maryland in April, and we would had the toga party at Steve's new. Oh, okay, I got you. As a result of the party, the house would have been destroyed. Okay, you're right. I get you on that, Carlos. You're correct. Thank you for the clarification. Triforce Rich, I want to get an Oyster bracelet. The Jubilee is okay, but I like the look and sturdiness of the Oyster. Oh, trust me, a solid Jubilee, the 6-digit Jubilee bracelet is solid as a rock. You're not going to have any problems with that, Lance. Triforce Rich is in the house. Don't get a Datejust with an Oyster. If you want an Oyster, get a sports model. I agree with Triforce Rich on that. Tom's in the house. He's up early. He says, hi, Craig and all. Fellas in the house. Craig, with rates so low, real estate probably makes sense again. I'm not so sure about that. Prices are still pretty high. I would make some lowball offers for sure. Because taxes, man, are killing me on my real estate these days. I mean, the tax bills are insane. That's what makes Bitcoin look so attractive, is the returns you can get on Bitcoin and without having to pay any taxes. And you know, It's totally portable. I can take it anywhere I want. I mean, no upkeep, no maintenance. I mean, my gosh, it's so much more attractive. I have to tell you, I think I'm going to buy some more. It's down around 9,000. Let me see if I can figure out what it's at right now. Where is it? I got too many tabs open as usual. Way too many tabs open. I got to close some of these tabs. Anyway, it's around 9,000. And if it breaks 9,000, okay, no, it's at 89.37, so it has broke 9,000. So the question is, how low will it go? Let me try to refresh this and see if it'll even refresh. This thing runs slow on my laptop. But anyway, I'm refreshing it. I mean, there are some people that are saying it's going to pull back down to $7,000. There's a time check. We shall see what happens, but I might actually buy some more Bitcoin. Oh, Christ, this thing is not, it is not reloading. Don't know why it's taking so long. But anyway, the market took a big beating on Friday, and it might have some more downside next week. So when there's a sell-off, people sell everything. They'll sell some Bitcoin. The weak hands will sell some Bitcoin, and I might buy some more. So that's what I might do. Let's see. I still got plenty of cash on the sideline, so I can buy some dips. Durr says, Lance, just keep saving money. You're very young, and your taste will change with time. Spending a lot of money on a watch is not a race. Yeah, I think he should save up and get a gold stunner and be done with it. I think that's what he should do. Tom's in the house. Congrats to Brett on his new Datejust. Man, that Datejust is awesome. It's absolutely awesome. And this thing is not responding. Try one more time here. Yeah, he got a heck of a watch there. Talk about a stunner that is not run-of-the-mill. That's what he got. Let's see. Most women seriously don't give an F about your watch unless it's 36 mil or smaller, in which case they may question your masculinity. I'm not so sure about that. Tom's in the house. If Brett is going to wear the gold Datejust all the time, maybe he might give the young Lance a deal on the steel one. There you go. That might be a thing to do. Cheetown's in the house. Craig, what do you think of house hacking where you buy a duplex or triplex, live in one unit, and rent the other units out? More places are dumping single-family home zoning restrictions. I mean, it might be a thing to do. Obviously, working with tenants can always be an issue. By the way, there it finally loaded in. There's the latest. We had a nice red candle there, dropped it down below 9,000. And right now we're at 89.65. So, we might be going lower from here. So I'm just going to keep an eye on it, and I'm going to try to. It's hard to call the bottom. It really is, but I'm going to do my best to call the bottom, and I'm probably going to load up on a couple more Bitcoin when I think it's hit that bottom. So that's how I'm going to do. Not financial advice on this channel, but I'm going to snatch up a few more Bitcoin. Cheetown's in the house. Let's see. Oh, I already read that one. So, Craig, my Rolex sub is running about plus 15 seconds per day. Ooh. I gather you do not think it needs to be serviced. Well, I mean, can you put up with plus 15 seconds a day? If that doesn't bother you, then go with it. I mean, that would probably be too much for me. I would probably do something. Personally, I would sell it and get a Grand Seiko. That's what I would do. I cannot put up with the lack of accuracy anymore. I just have gotten totally spoiled by my Grand Seikos, and I don't think I could go back to a Rolex and the lack of accuracy. I just don't think I could do it. Zombie Beer Server, the only women that know about watches are professional gold diggers or they were brought into the hobby by a man. There you go. Tim, that is way out of spec. When was your last service? Try first, Rich. Carlos, my wife usually complains about the limited duration. And by the way, with regard to the last service, I mean, my date 8 was 20 years old, and it was still running about plus 2 seconds a day. And it was 20 years old, and it had never been serviced. So servicing is not the issue. There's something really amiss there. I don't care how long it's been. It shouldn't be running plus 15 seconds a day. So something is wrong in that situation. Carlos says, my wife usually complains about the limited duration of the mechanical watch's battery. Tim, sounds like it needs a service. Well, duh, yeah. I mean, it needs something. That is my plan right now. I'm going to save up and get something that I really like and will keep the rest of my life. There you go. That's a good move. Yeah, and don't buy any more of those marginal watches. I'm not going to use the term that people usually use. And Tim says 10 years ago it was serviced. Okay. I only have a woman comment on my watch rarely, and usually it's because they are 2 inches from me anyways and already all over me. There you go. Tom says the size of watch that looks best depends on the size of the person's wrist. There you go. Good point. And Durr says, Lance, we will buy a watch to keep for the rest of our lives, and then we end up selling them. Well, some people might be a little more stable than us. Maybe some people do actually buy the watch. I mean, and where no, I can't use the golfer Jack Nicklaus. I can't use him as an example because his was given to him, so that's not a good example. But there are probably some people that get a watch and wear it the rest of their life. If I had it to do over again, I would probably try to do that. But the only reason I sold my date 8, the last one, is I couldn't read the dial very well. So once your eyes get bad, then you got to figure out plan B, I think. At that point, I could just start wearing glasses all the time like most people do, like most normal people do, right? But I'm still in denial, so most of the time I'm not wearing my glasses. Let's see. Try for search time for a service. That's gaining way too much time. Okay. And if she notices it, it's best to hook up and then run. Tim is in the house. How much is Rolex charging these days for a service? How much do you have? You guys ever see that movie? I think it was one of the vacation movies with Chevy Chase, where he goes in and his car broke down or whatever, and he's with the mechanic, right? They're traveling, of course, on vacation, right? And the mechanic says, okay, it needs this, and this, right? And Chevy Chase says, okay, so how much will that be? And the mechanic says, how much do you have? And it went downhill from there. So there you go. That's how that works, Tim. Just whatever you've got, just give them your money. Yeah. Tim, probably somewhere just south of $1,000. Kevin's in the house. Move to Florida, Craig, and pile up the bit. Yeah, I hear you. I already have a place in Florida. I just have to go drive down there. G says government capped banks dividends now, so not looking good for bank stocks. Triforce Rich is in the house. Part of the reason I recommend a sports model, if he buys right, his money is safe. When Lance is ready to buy, we'll locate him a watch. He'll get taken advantage of if we don't help. Triforce Rich in the house, offering to help the Lancer. And Durr says, I agree. Okay. Carlos says, Durr, when are you kicking off your channel? Given your current great success with the chicks, I cannot think how it will be when you will be a YouTube celebrity. Oh, yeah. Well, they'll be throwing themselves at his feet. Absolutely. Tim says, would you guys ever get a Rolex serviced with their local watch repairer? That sounds scary. Okay, Mike's in the house. Don't wait for the dip, Craig. Short the market now. I don't do the whole shorting thing. Caller says, I hope you not get bored after that and change your preferences to the other side. Carlos, it's tough to make time for the channel when I'm hanging out with all the babes. Maybe when I get them to spend more time in the kitchen, I'll kick the channel off. There you go. Absolutely. Kevin's in the house. Craig, who turned you on to Grand Seiko? Okay, so the backstory on that is pretty straightforward. What happened was I bought the Shogun, the SBDC 007. That's a titanium Seiko diver watch that I really liked. And I did a video on that, and it was really popular. And I wore that for a couple of years. The only reason I gave up on that watch is it was running slow, and I do not put up with watches that run slow. But it was super comfortable on wrist. It was just a great everyday watch, right? And I had it in rotation with the day date. And then I was doing some research about different dive watches and so on and so forth, and I stumbled across Arizona Fine Time. They had a video on the Grand Seiko Diver. I believe it was the 229, the steel version. And I saw that, and this was years ago. This was like 6 years ago or 7 years ago or whenever the heck it was. And that kind of planted the seed. And I wanted to see one of those watches in person, the Grand Seiko Diver, because I thought, hey, maybe this takes the SBDC 007, the Seiko, to a whole new level, and maybe this is really the diver that I want. But then I couldn't find a dealer. I was down in Florida, and then I came back up here to Maryland, and I somehow heard that there was a dealer in the area, Little Treasury Jewelers. And so I contacted Steve and asked him if he had them in stock, the divers. And I had since learned about the titanium version. And I said, okay, I want to come take a look. And I had cash in my pocket. And I went and took a look at that 231 diver there, right there on the left. And this was a little over 2 years ago. And I just said, oh my gosh, this is the one, this is what I want. And so I made a cash offer. I put the cash on the counter. He didn't know me from Adam at that point, right? Put the cash on the counter, and he shook his head and hemmed and hawed, and I said, that's it. That's all the cash I have. You either take it or leave it. You know, we either have a deal or we don't. And I said, by the way, if I do buy it, I will do a video on my YouTube channel. And I told him about the SBDC 007 video that at the time had like 600,000 views or something. I'll do a video, you know, you might sell some watches and stuff, but here's my deal. Here it is. The money's on the counter. What do you want to do? And he hemmed and hawed and shook his head, and we did a deal. And so that was the start of a wonderful friendship and business relationship. He then signed up to sponsor my community websites, including Frederick.com, and advertise on those. And so, yeah, so not only am I a customer of Little Treasury, but he also does business with me. So that's how that whole thing works. Triforce Rich is in the house. The Daytona is wearing a stock certificate on the wrist for most people. Most could care less about reading the time. Where's Lamont? Hey, that's a good question. Let's be honest. The modern Daytona is a fashion boyfriend watch first and tool chronograph last. Smoking weed and starting at his sky dealer and staring at his sky dealer. You mean dweller? Going for a swim. Thanks for the entertainment. All say there you go. I don't blame you. If it's running fast, try having the watch demagnetized. Easy, cheap, non-invasive first step. That's a good point. Very, very good suggestion. I think something's going on with that watch. Absolutely. Triforce Rich, the modern Daytona is a stunning watch, so much nicer than the prior generation steel bezel ones. There you go. Dur's in the house. Ceramic Daytona is really nice, especially the Panda to my eyes. Carlos in the house. When GS makes you an ambassador for marketing purposes, would you suggest they drop the Seiko from the name Grand Seiko? I would probably just leave GS on there and take Grand Seiko off. Yeah, I think all they need is the GS. I think that's really all they need on there. But, hey, that ain't going to happen because they don't even call into the show. I've told them that they're welcome to call into the show anytime. They have my Skype, right? I said, if you want to call into the show and show a couple of watches, you're welcome to do it. Anytime, just do it. Crickets. Crickets. Do you hear them calling in? Do you hear them Skyping in? Nothing. So the chances of me becoming a Grand Seiko ambassador is pretty much 0.00. That would be 0. So that's how that whole thing works. Cheetown, there's no doubt the modern Daytona is stunning. Oh, I already read that. Okay. Half of them are on women's wrists. People don't realize that Daytona isn't even 40 millimeter. It's 38.5. Oh, I didn't know that. Triforce. That's cool. I didn't know that. Thank you for that info. The thing is, people always see these watches on macro shots on websites, and they don't realize what they look like on wrist. So you got to try these watches on and really see what they're like on wrist, I think. And to me, that Daytona would be too busy and it's just too much going on there for what I need. And everything looks hotter on a woman's wrist. Well, duh. Triforce Rich, I can't wait to put the deep sea on my fiance's. He's laughing. Daytona was spared the maxi. Yeah, absolutely, the case is gorgeous on the Daytona, as it is on the Yachtmaster. It's pretty much the same case on the Yachtmaster as you have on the Daytona. It's a great case. Carlos says Daytona size and feeling is exactly the same as the Explorer 39. There you go. And Dur says, I love my ceramic Daytona. Yeah, but you should sell that and just wear the freaking day-date and be done with it. You've got the pinnacle of Rolex. You have a day-date. Just wear it and enjoy it and call it a day. That's what I say, Dur. And Tom says, why did you buy an Apple Watch as well, Craig, when you had other nicer watches? I actually liked the Apple Watch. I wanted to try it out. I'm an Apple fanboy. I wanted to try it out. And I liked a lot of things about it. I liked that I could answer a phone call on it, especially if I was at an event, covering an event. I don't want to fumble with my phone and all that. I can just look at the watch and see who's calling, and I could just tap it and say, hey, listen, I'm at an event. I'll call you back in an hour and a half or whatever, right? I could take a quick little phone call. I really liked that aspect of it. So there were some things I really liked about the Apple Watch. I wore it for a couple of years. It's still here. It's a Series 1. But then I wanted to go back to my other watches. I said, yeah, I like it. I like some things about it. But one thing I didn't like about it is, it went out so quick. In other words, you turn your wrist, it would turn on, and then it would only stay on for X number of seconds, and it would go out. Now they're on all the time, but I think they dim a little bit, which I wouldn't like that. If they came out with one that was bright all the time, full brightness, and on all the time, I would be very tempted to wear one again. Be very tempted. I wouldn't wear it all the time, but I would be very tempted to have that and wear it sometimes. Yeah, but as it is now, I almost never wear mine. It just sits over there. So that's the story on the Apple Watch. Cheetown's announced, Craig, what do you think of a rose gold watch with a black rubber strap? Some guys say hot. I say, yeah, I pass on that whole rose gold thing, period. I'm not a fan of the rose gold at all. Yellow gold's the way to go. Mr. Q's in the house. Please ditch those Seiko, Grand Seiko dials in the archives of Congress. There you go. G-Town, I had a homage Panda Daytona, and it was undoubtedly good looking in the mirror, okay? Triforce Rich, I remember I was at an AD once, and a guy trying it on said it felt so small, and I told him it's not really 40 millimeters. The dealer denied that and told me I was wrong. Okay. I told the dealer if it is 40 millimeter, I'll buy a Datejust, and if it is the size I say, you sell me the steel Daytona. He said, okay, I'll take your word. He said, okay, I'll take your word for it. LOL, okay. The size of the Daytona is perfect. If you would be able to read it instinctively on a glance, I would still have had it. Exactly, that's the thing. It's not that legible. With the busy dial and that size and all that, it's an issue. Tom's in the house. I really like the Deep Sea, but some watches are better admired afar. Okay, we're going to wrap this up. We've been going an hour. I'd rather wear no watch than an Apple Watch. Hey, the Apple Watch is pretty cool, especially with the if you get the stainless steel one with the link bracelet. It's pretty cool. They stopped making Grand Seikos in 2017. Correct. That's correct. Cheetown, California. DC. Okay. All right. We're going to wrap this puppy up. Let's do a last-minute time check here. I am hungry. You guys get something to eat. Bitcoin has just pumped back over 9,000. Some bulls stepped in and bought it under 9,000. So it's hovering around 9,000. I think it's going to go lower. I'm going to keep an eye on it and try to do some bottom fishing. So carry on, folks. Thanks for watching. Please click subscribe and click the little bell so that you'll get notifications. Thanks.